So this is the Creation Evidence Museum. I was pastor of one of America's 10 fastest growing churches, started from scratch. I was president of a small college that was accredited. I had established that college from scratch. I had selected the professors. And I came down to Glen Rose. I was completing the master's in archaeology. I came to Glen Rose to complete my thesis by instruction from my mentor, Dr. Clifford Wilson, internationally recognized authority. And he said, you're going to have to direct, if you refer to the Glen Rose evidence, you're going to have to direct an original excavation along the banks of the Paluxy River. So I came to Glen Rose. I brought some friends with me to help move the stone. In those days, I could move the stone myself, and did quite often. At that point, I was a creationist. There was a time when I thought atheistic thoughts. There was a time when I was an agnostic. There was a time when I went through, as most people with open minds do, trained in the liberal education. I went through the long ages, the age theory, progressive creation, theistic evolution. And at that point, 1982, I was an old age creationist. I put a gap between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. In that gap, I threw all of the geologic ages. So to my own satisfaction, I could hold on to both sides. I could believe the Bible, but at the same time, I could recognize that geology teaches the long ages. However, I later learned that those long ages are not there. Polystrate fossils, and Dr. Billy Caldwell, who is here, could give you a dissertation on what those polystrate fossils are, but there's not time to do that at the moment. Polystrate fossils extend from one sedimentary layer through another, and often through up to 15 separate sedimentary layers. And many of those layers are Cretaceous that extend worldwide. But the geologic community, by and large, just ignores those. But those scream loudly that while that one tree was standing in place, this global layer, this global layer, this layer is associated with global sediments, all formed. The only explanation for that is a worldwide flood that occurred about 4,500 years ago. So why didn't I believe that? Well, you know, there's none so blind as he who will not see. I preferred my academic standing. Even though I loved God, I felt with all my heart, I tried. But I preferred my academic standing to what to me may not have been clear in the biblical record, even though upon further examination, it was incredibly clear in the biblical record. There was no mistake about it, but sometimes we just skim over it. So I came to Glen Rose, directed the excavations, that background, and to my surprise, well, first we excavated 19 original dinosaur footprints. That's a pretty good feat. How many in this audience, and those watching by television who will watch this on YouTube later, raise your hand, even those watching your cell phone or by television, raise your hand in this audience if you have actually participated in the excavation of 19 dinosaur footprints. I see 3 hands. Where did you do that, Dr. Willie?
Right here.
Right here. Yeah, here is a part of those excavations. But at that point, and he got in on those quite readily, 19 dinosaur footprints. I tried to close the excavation. I said, I have to get back to St. Louis. I have a church to pastor. I have a college to direct. And I have to get back home. I have a wife and kids. So Charles Hiltebittle said, he and Ron Jenkins, well, just let us remove one more slab of the limestone. You see, we don't just go out in the field and brush around and find some nebulous impressions and say, wow, that's a human footprint. No, no, no. There are criteria that must be met. So Ronald Jenkins and Charles Hildebiddle said, we'll do the work. You've already worked enough, and besides, you have to direct it and tell us what to do. That's a pretty good deal. We had 4 or 5 able-bodied individuals, and I had to observe everything going on. So they very carefully removed a big slab of limestone that weighed probably 1,300 pounds, was about 14 inches thick, and they removed that and started excavating. I watched it closely. They got to the very back of that, and Charles Hildebiddle started excavating under the next ledge. I said, Charles, I got to go home. He said, just let me do a little more. Okay. So I turned my back and took a few steps, and a few minutes later he called me back and said, Director, you need to look at this. He said, there's a protrusion coming out. We have the limestone, the hardpan, clay, and the next limestone layer. He had gone through some of the hardpan, had cut through some of the clay very carefully, and he said, there's a protrusion here. I said, oh, it's just a toe of another dinosaur. We've got 23 already. That's enough. Let's go. He said, Director, please take a look at this. It's pretty round. I said, all right, move over, please. I looked, and it was a round heel. It was not a pointed Acrocanthosaurus digit. I said, please move over. Give me your pastiche. That's a special instrument we excavate with your trowel and your brush. I excavated under that ledge. Now that extension was 17 inches from an Acrocanthosaurus dinosaur track going this way. That extension turned out to be a 16-inch, 5-toed human footprint with all 5 toes, the great toe being dominant. It had the phalanges, the metatarsal arch, the ball of the foot, the medial section of the longitudinal arch, the lateral section of the longitudinal arch, and it had the upsplash, the mud displacement around it. When you walk in mud, did you know that you do all of those things all at one time? It had all of those things in place. It blew my mind. I said, all right, one's not enough. Anybody want to move any more limestone? I mean, the whole team said, yes. We removed 2 more slabs of limestone, continued the excavations. That was a right. We needed, got a left, a right, and another left. I'm sorry, that was a left. We got a right, a left, and another right. It blew my mind because I thought the dinosaurs, the last dinosaur, and the first human being was separated by 64 million years. But here they were in the same layer. I called the press. They flew down by helicopter. But before that, I didn't sleep for 4 days and nights because it blew my whole paradigm. I thought I had it all figured out. Didn't sleep for 4 days and nights. Called the press. They flew down by helicopter. Next 4 days and nights took place. Then I got on the plane to fly back to St. Louis. At the airport, there was Fort Worth Star telegram. Track step on evolution. Our track and the explanation that if this is true, and obviously it is, evolution is in serious jeopardy. You need to take a look after the lecture. Please take a look at the panel on the back near the door. The world's leading evolutionary scholars, Stephen Jay Gould, Richard Dawkins, Niles Eldredge, the world's leading evolutionary scholars have gone on record in the public literature and the technical literature stating that if we or anyone could actually prove that man and dinosaur lived contemporaneously, their words, that would blow evolution out of the waters. And it would. Another wrote, it would destroy the theory of evolution. And it would. So today we're going to update you on that.